Good morning, guys. Lexiot's the Raptor Freak here on a Wednesday morning. It's an off day, second day of an off day. And today I'm doing trivia, y'all. And our subject today is the Raptors' history in the playoffs. And first, I wanted to kind of go over the history of the Raptors in the playoffs. They've been in the playoffs 13 times in their 25-year history. And they had to wait 5 years in their when they first started as a franchise. They didn't get into playoffs until the year 2000. And by then, I had been working for the Raptors for a year or so. I basically came and started working for the Raptors when they got Vince Carter in 1999. And that team, of course, was the Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Antonio Davis, Charles Oakley team. And the first ever year they got in the playoffs, they played against the New York Knicks, and it was a sweep. The Knicks swept them. And I remember because it was weird because we only got one playoff game in Toronto because it was it was a best of 5, not best of 7. And the first 2 games were in New York, and then we got one game in Toronto. It was the first ever playoff game played in Toronto, and we couldn't sell any tickets to it. It was crazy. Like, for a playoff game, and it being the first ever playoff game for Toronto was nobody could sell we couldn't sell the tickets. So what they ended up doing was they ended up selling the tickets to the staff for really cheap. And I ended up buying like a dozen of the first ever Raptor playoff tickets. Like, I had a dozen of them on me, and I bought them for really cheap. And I ended up selling a bunch of them to all kinds of different people. I sold a ticket to Michael Landsberg, the guy who did Off the Record, because at that time he was somebody that was hanging out at the Velvet Underground where I was working because he was friends with somebody there. And he was like, "Lex, you can give me a ticket to the game?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I sold Michael Landsberg a ticket to the first ever Raptor game, if you guys can believe that. But I had like 12 tickets, and I couldn't get rid of all of them. Like, even when I was talking to Steve Nash then too. Steve was going to go on one of my tickets. That's how crazy it was. But I still have the ticket stub. And of course, we lost. We got swept by the Knicks that first year. It was crazy, but it was so fun. But nobody really cared at that point. And then, of course, the next time we got in the playoffs was the next year, and that was the year where we won the first round against the Knicks finally 3-2 in a 5-game series, and then we went on to play the Philadelphia 76ers in that epic series of Vince versus Allen Iverson, where they were scoring 50 points every other game, and that was pretty crazy. And that was the famous headband series, and I have one of the original purple headbands from that series with Allen Iverson, and I don't wear this. I feel like this is a bad luck piece because when they wore the purple headbands, it didn't work. They lost because, remember, Vince graduated, and then he on that Sunday, and then he came and played in the game later that day, and he missed that shot right at the end of the game, and we lost that series. This is one of those purple headbands from that time, and I had a couple of them. I burned one of them to try and get some of the bad curse from the purple headband out of here, because like in some ways I feel like the purple has been bad for the franchise overall. Okay, but that was the closest we had gotten, and I remember that was a big deal, and that was the closest we got for a long time, because then the next year we played against Detroit, and we didn't have Vince Carter, and we lost in 5 games. It was still 5-game series then, and then we didn't make it for a little while, and then we got Chris Bosh, and Chris Bosh made the playoffs for the first time in 2007. And guess who we lost to? We had to play against Vince Carter and the New Jersey Nets, and we lost in 6 games, and that sucked. But we made the playoffs the next year also with Chris Bosh, and we played against Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard, and they ended up beating us in 5 games in a 7-game series. And then we didn't make it for a while. We were kind of bad. We had those early years with Vince and Chris Bosh, we weren't really that good in the playoffs. But then those 2 guys showed up in the 2010s, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. And in 2014, we went to the playoffs again for the first time in a long time. And we lost to the Brooklyn Nets in a 7-game series that came down to like the last shot. That was that series where Paul Pierce fouled Kyle Lowry right at the end of the game, and they didn't count it. He should have gotten free throws, and we lost by like 1 point. Oh my gosh, that Sunday, I remember I was watching the game, but I had to go to work at the same time, and I was living out in Scarborough with my grandmother, and it took me a while to get to work, like 2 hours. I had to leave, but I was like, I want to see the end of the game. And then all of a sudden they lost the game right at the last second. And I remember how shitty I felt going to work that day and how bad that work was that night after that game. It was horrible. These are horrible memories. Some of these, it's like really bad memories. In 2015, we got swept by the Washington Wizards in the first round, and that was awful. But this was all DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry learning how to win in the playoffs, and that's how it went. Now, 2016, we had a really good year in the playoffs. We won in the first two rounds. We beat Indiana and Miami, and then we went to play the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that was the year that we had Bismack, guys. You remember that Bismack year where we got really far, and like there was that one play. I remember I went to one of the games. It was the game that we won in Toronto against Cleveland in that series. And I remember they did that inbounds play to give the ball to LeBron and try and get a baseline dunk, like when we weren't looking. And Bismack was right there, and he matched him athletically, and he blocked the shit out of him. It was one of the best plays I ever seen live. It was so good. But that year was a good year in the playoffs. Of course, we lost to LeBron still, but we got at least a win against him in the series, and it's just tough. All right, keeping going, our history in the playoffs. Then we went in 2017. We got out of the first round, beating the Milwaukee Bucks in a great series of 6 games. And then we had to face LeBron again and got swept by him in the second round. That's in 2017. 2018, once again, we got past the first round and beat the Wizards. And then we had to play LeBron in the second round, and we got swept by LeBron out again by Kyle and DeMar getting frustrated. That sucked. And, well, you know what happened then? DeMar got traded, and we fired Coach Casey. And then we had the championship year, and we all know really a whole lot about that one. That I won't cover that too much. That's a great year. All the kind of things that happened. We beat Orlando, we beat Philly, we beat Milwaukee, and then we beat Golden State. And then the next year, of course, was the bubble year, and we swept Orlando, and then we had to, or was it the Nets? We swept the Nets, and then we had to play against the Celtics, and we took them to a 7-game series, and it was sadly a defeat in the 7th game. Sucked. So anyway, that's just my real quick rundown of the playoffs with the history of the Raptors. So we made the playoffs 13 times in our history. That's pretty much half the years we've played as a franchise, and we've won 1 championship. And that's pretty damn good, honestly, for franchise history, because there's a lot of teams that have been in the league since the 70s and never won nothing. You know, there's teams that have been in the league since the 50s, never won nothing. So, all right, let's see what you guys are saying this morning. Gee, good morning, man. A reporter came out and said if Giannis left the Bucks, it would have most likely been Toronto. I know. Him and Masai have a relationship, and that's why we did all those moves last year. That's why we didn't re-sign Serge and Mark that time, because we wanted to be freed up to be able to make a run for Antetokounmpo. And it didn't work out. It didn't happen. So it is what it is. Hey, Andrew, good morning, man. Let's go. Yeah, the bad memories make 2019 even sweeter. That's right, man. 2019 was amazing. We exercised a lot of like playoff demons for the city of Toronto and just in sports in general, because there was a lot of stuff built up with the Leafs and even with the Blue Jays a bit, just because of how the American League East is set up and stuff like that. Yeah, Andrew, talking about that game, Bismack had 25 rebounds in the game. Yeah, man, Bismack was a great player. It's hard to believe that he only played for the Raptors for 1 season, because he's so loved by us. And that 1 season was just a great season, because they got pretty far, and they were playing pretty good against Cleveland in that series. But of course they won. Okay, I mean, all right, there's only 2 of y'all here right now. I was going to do trivia. So let's see what we can do here. You guys might just get all the points. So let's see. My trivia question today, this is top 10 Raptors on the board. You get 10 points for getting number 1. You get 1 point for getting number 10. Is this, guys? And you get 3 strikes. 3 strikes, you're out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you get 3 wrong answers, you're out. But here is the category for today, and I'll be marking it as you guys go. because I guess it's Andrew and G here, or somebody's here. We'll see. Okay. The category is top 10 Raptors who have played the most playoff games as a Raptor. Who are the top 10 Raptors that have played the most playoff games in a Raptor uniform? Who's played the most playoff games in a Raptor uniform? This is kind of easy in some ways, but it's kind of not, because you got to think about how deep they got in the playoffs and how many games they would play and stuff like that. Like, so if you guys figure any of them out, top 10 Raptor players who played in the playoffs, most games in the playoffs. Who has the most games in the playoffs that the Raptors in a Raptors jersey? Andrew, number 1, Kyle Lowry. Booyah Kasha. That is exactly right, Andrew. He is number 1. He has 84 playoff games played for the Raptors. And you get 10 points right there, buddy, added to your score from before. Keep going, though. You can keep answering. If you want to let somebody else answer before, that's fine. But I don't know if anybody else is here. So, okay, Andrew got number 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. DeMar is number 4 on the list, and he has 51 playoff games for the Raptors. It seems like he would have more, doesn't it? 51 games doesn't seem like a lot. All right, G, let's see what you got. Kyle, we already got Kyle. Norman is number 2, G. That's right. Norman has the second most playoff games played for the Raptors in their franchise history. So on the down low, when we lost Norman last year, we lost a lot of playoff experience. And that sucks, and that's why Norman's so polished and good for the Trailblazers now. Okay, let's see. Who did you say there? Serge? Yeah, Serge is number 3, guys. He's got 55 games. In the few seasons that Serge played for us, he got in the playoffs every year, and he got deep in the playoffs every year when he was on our teams. So that's 8 more points for you, G. Let's see. DeMar's already said. Okay, G says Fred. Fred is on here. He's number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get 6 points for that one. He has 48 games, and I'm sure he's going to have more playoff games for the Raptors. So he'll go up higher on the list. Let's think about it. If he gets in like one in the second round, even this year, he could become like 3rd on this list really fast. Who's the next person you said? Pascal. Yeah, Pascal's on this list as well. He's number 6 with 47 games played in the playoffs. These are, this is the thing. 2 active guys on our team are number 5 and number 6 for most playoff games as a Raptor. That's really good. All right, let's keep going. Andrew, yeah, he already said Fred. So that's for G. But OG just misses the list, Andrew. Sorry, man. That's a strike. And G, I will give you a strike also for saying it afterwards. So, all right, let's see. How many we got left? We still got there's 4 guys left on this list. They're the last 4 guys on here. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're guys that, you're going to have to really think out of the box and really think about this to get these guys. I'll start giving clues if it's too tough. But, I think you guys can get these guys. They're, 2 of them were traded for each other. So think about that. 2 of them were traded for each other. And another one on here was traded to get a championship. Andrew, no, Alvin's not on the list. Unfortunately, those early teams didn't play that many games. So that's 2 strikes, Andrew. Be careful, man. Yeah, I would stay away from those early teams because those guys didn't get to play a lot. Gee, Mark Gasol. That's a booyah kasha. That is correct. Mark Gasol is number 9 on our list with 35 playoff games. Because if you think about it, he played the whole championship run, which was 24, and then they played quite a few games in the bubble when he was on that team too. It's amazing because he played 35 playoff games for the Raptors, and he only played 70 regular season games for the Raptors. Isn't that amazing that he played 105 games his career for the Raptors, and 35 of them were in playoff games? That's Mark Gasol. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see what's next. Yeah, G got that one. Okay, Andrew, Patrick Patterson. Way to think out of the box, man. You're exactly right. Patrick Patterson's number 8 on this list with 4. Patrick was on our team for quite a while, and he was a person that was involved in the playoffs. So good job, man. You guys are going to get all the points today, obviously. Let's see. Okay, so we only got 2 left, and really, I told you the clue that gives it away for one of them. Because I said they were traded for each other. So that should help you with something there. And then the last guy is a guy who got traded for another guy on this list already. So if you think about who got traded for who that's already on this list that we've named, that'll give it away, the last two guys on this list. So far we've got Kyle Lowry, number 1, Norman Powell, number 2, Serge Ibaka, number 3, DeMar DeRozan, number 4, Fred VanVleet, number 5, Pascal Siakam, number 6, number 7, number 8, Patrick Patterson, number 9, Marc Gasol, and number 10 is So who is 7 and 10? Let's see if you guys can get this. G, you're exactly right. It's JV. Of course it's JV. Jonas Valanciunas played in the playoffs a lot for us. He played 43 games in the playoffs for us. And, I miss Jonas too. He's a great Raptor that I still care a lot about. There's just one more name on this list. He was traded for one of the other names on the list already. And it was a pretty important trade because it helped lead to an NBA championship. And this guy's still playing for the other team. Nah, Corey Joseph's a strike. You're out, Andrew. I'm sorry. That's a good guess because he is up near. He is on this list, but he's a little bit lower down. No, it's a guy who's still playing on his team. He got traded to from us, and he was traded for somebody else on this list. Yeah. Andrew knows now. It's okay. G, do you know who we're talking about? This guy's also, I could give this clue and it'll really just give it away. He's a 2-time dunk champion. So it's that guy. He's actually number 10 on the list. G, are you still there, man? I was hoping that we'd get enough people, but this is good. You guys can get all the points, and this is just fun. This last guy got traded for somebody that came here and helped us win the championship, and he's still playing for the team that we traded him to, and he's a 2-time dunk champion. And I saw him in Kensington Market one summer, and I yelled at him, and he said, hey, and he was a nice guy. You know what? I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, because I don't want to go too long today. This is just for fun, and there's no news today, honestly. I'll do a good preview tomorrow, and there's really no news, nothing going on today with different things. I mean, yeah, G, you're right. Terrence Ross, you got it, buddy. All right, so that's it. We got Lowry, Powell, Ibaka, DeRozan, VanVleet, Siakam, Valanciunas, Patterson, Gasol, and Terrence Ross to round out the most games played as a Raptor in the playoffs in a Raptor jersey. All right, let me do this add up real quick, and I'll add up with the point totals from before. Andrew, you had 6 points from last time. You're going to get, let's see, you got 6, 13, plus 13. You got 26 points now, Andrew. 26 points for Andrew. And G, this is the first time you're playing. That's 10, 20, 31, 35. 35 points for you, G. That's really good. Yeah, Damari Carroll is close, though. He's almost on this list. I think he's like 11th or 12th. He's up there. It's crazy, too, because he only played 2 seasons for the Raptors, and he got pretty far in the playoffs both times he played. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to do a quick fun trivia game. I had to make some content for today. There's not a whole lot of news. They're just in Utah getting ready for the game tomorrow. Utah smoked their opponent last night. It was who did they play? Oh, Philadelphia. They kicked Philadelphia's ass pretty bad, like 35 points bad. And, Utah's nasty. This is going to be a tough game tomorrow. But I'll do a proper preview for it tomorrow. But thanks for being here. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, G. And let's go, Raptors. Let's get some wins on this West Coast trip. Let's turn these frowns upside downs.